Hello and welcome to another standalone point 0.5 episode of TMI. And this time we are going back to episode 33, which was our very first Thanksgiving Monster special, where we take two monster movies, preferably a Godzilla and a King Kong, and feature them. But for today's point 0.5 episode, we are spotlighting the Godzilla versus the Smog Monster portion of the episode. You may know it as Godzilla versus Hedorah, but all 70s kids will know the movie as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. So sit back, enjoy. Maybe you still got a face mask or two left over from the COVID days. Put that on. The Smog Monster is in the house.
TMI. Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jack Nerfherder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker.
Tomorrow afternoon, starting at 1, WOR-TV presents a full afternoon of action and adventure. Jack Palance stars in Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster, followed by Godzilla vs. Megalon, and then Godzilla takes on the Smog Monster.
Okay, we're back.
That's cool. All right, that was cool. I like that. We need more of those. Awesome.
So our next film was the crowning jewel of Black Friday for me.
I don't know what this is.
Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Or, well, the Japanese version, he was not referred to as the Smog Monster, or was he?
He was not. I don't think he was, no. Even if you watch the Japanese film with the subtitles, with the Japanese language track, I don't think he was ever referred to as the Smog Monster. It's just Hedorah.
Or Hedorah.
In this,
Hedorah.
Because I think we had the pronunciation Ghidra, so I think they just made the logical leap to Hedorah, as just changed the first letter.
But it is spelled Hedorah, which is very good.
If you were to enunciate his name, it is Hedorah.
Which is what I've always called him. As a matter of fact, I even told my son yesterday while I was watching, and he corrected me. I said, well, according to this little kid, it's Hedorah, who had some mighty short shorts for a kid.
Yes, he did. Although I don't think as short as the kid from Godzilla versus Megalon, who also...
Oh, no, yeah. But that had to have been the style, right?
It had to have been, yeah.
Like Pinocchio shorts with overalls.
Which is funny, because at the time I would have been watching this on TV, the style would have been for us, those shorts with the white stripes up the sides of them.
Right, yeah. This is a really odd monster.
It totally is. And I think that's why I really attached to it over the years.
I do remember, probably my first viewing of it, it just went over my head as a kid.
It's somewhat disturbing to watch as well.
So go back to our Soylent Green discussion, which is, it's relevant because we're still dealing with this crap.
It is.
It's scary. We just don't have an alien creature coming down and eating all of our garbage.
I think some of the most effective scenes in this movie are the floating garbage on top of the water.
Well, the mannequin, severed mannequin, floating in the garbage, and then a little too on the nose with the grandfather clock.
I know, time's up.
Right? Yeah. And it even bonged at one point. So, but that opening sequence is so James Bond.
Actually, it's funny.
So Bond.
My wife said the same thing as we were watching it this time. Yeah.
Yep. I don't remember that at all, but it is straight up James Bond opening sequence.
So let's set you up with this picture here. This movie was made in 1971, and it was released in Japan in 1971. It came out in America a year later in 72. This was directed by Yoshimitsu Banno. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. First-time director, first and last time he ever directed a Godzilla movie.
I was just about to say maybe last time.
Because the director that directed most of the films before this, Inchiro Honda, I believe his name was.
Okay, yep.
Was ill.
He was unavailable, let's put it.
Unavailable, yes. So they gave the job to this Yoshimitsu Banno, I think, who had proven himself with commercial direction and things like that.
So let's give him a giant monster.
They gave him a shot, right? So he did the movie, and he wanted to make an ecological statement because he had seen pollution himself, seen smog over some cities in Japan. He had seen the garbage floating in the bays and some beachfront, and he wanted to do something that reflected his feelings on that. So he came up with a monster that was born of pollution.
Hence the Smog Monster.
Yeah, and he wanted to show actual civilian casualties, which you hadn't seen since the original Godzilla movie, the effect of this pollution on humans and graphic deaths in some cases.
It's disturbing because you're right. It is straight up. I mean, people, as this thing's flying over, he's releasing toxic farts, for lack of a better term. And people are dropping over, and then just a la Mars Attacks, they're just, all of a sudden, they're skeletons. They're clothes. And that's just like, it's a very disturbing. The little kid comes around the corner, and here's all the dead people.
Yep. So Banno, the director, makes this movie, and the producer of the Godzilla series, who had given him the shot, Tomoyuki Tanaka, was in the hospital at the time. So he wasn't overseeing the production or anything. So he had no idea what was going on. He had just okayed the script. And he was shown the final version and was horrified.
Livid.
I guess this guy lost his shit in the hospital room. And fired the director. You'll never work.
Was Frank Oz there yelling at him?
Yeah. Mr. Banno, Mr. Banno.
Calm down. Ah.
So the guy never worked a Godzilla movie again. And unfortunately, before he was fired, he actually started a treatment of a sequel to Godzilla versus the Smog Monster where Hedorah would come back. But this time they would fight in Africa for some reason. So it's just an off-the-wall idea. Yeah.
Which is... When you think smog and pollution, I think Africa might be the cleanest place on the planet.
Maybe that's why he wanted to do it. Maybe that's to show the contrast. Who knows?
Well, it's interesting because, as a kid that age, around those 70s, I mean, we were bombarded with that whole environmental oil crisis, industrial pollution kind of messaging. So he really did hit it on the head. I mean, it was a little over the top with the sludge in the harbor and everything, but he got his message across.
Yes, he certainly did. And apparently Tanaka, who was so horrified by the finished project, had told him that he had ruined the Godzilla series. He was afraid that it would give all the children that had come to love Godzilla.
Right. Because at this point, Godzilla really was, it was no longer those monster movies. Like you said, the first one, very environmental, a lot of it had to do with the, Japanese dealing with the nuclear bomb back in the 40s. But then, it becomes playful. He becomes more comedic. It is more WWE kind of, monsters battling each other. So the kind of hit us over the head with this environmental message
there's something truly at stake here because everybody's talking about this this could end the world. That's usually the case with most of these giant monster movies, but you could see how it could actually happen as we were saying before. You see the human casualties, and
even the scene where he's like over the industrial plants sucking up the smoke, and you're like, well, if we had more of these guys, maybe we wouldn't have a disastrous planet. Maybe you could just keep eating this crap.
So having said all this in defense of the movie, there are a lot of things that we can take to task here. So
it is a serious drug trip. It is such a product of its environment.
And the actual origin of Hedorah is extremely vague.
It was like a science slideshow in class.
Still doesn't successfully impart how this thing exists. Because in the beginning, they kind of set it up that Hedorah is split up into various tadpole-like creatures that unite to become bigger. But then later on, they say that Hedorah came from a meteor that came down from space, from a sludge-like galaxy. Far away from a sludge-like star, that's where it must live, and it came down. But yet, if that's what happened, why are there a million Hedorahs that come together in the bay? If it came down as one being, then why are there several in the beginning of this movie? So that doesn't make sense. The fact that Godzilla just comes in without explanation, it's just kind of taken for granted. Godzilla will show up when humanity needs him.
Well, the little boy, Kenny or whatever his name is. Oh, he was convinced Godzilla. Yeah. He had all those little Godzilla toys. That was cool.
He did. Now, that was very meta of this movie as well, because you see he's got every cool 60s Godzilla toy from every movie that's come out before. So Godzilla is a known thing in this world of this movie. So Godzilla has come before. They've made toys of him. So and
all the bad guys.
And of all the bad guys.
Yeah, he had them all.
So they have all existed in the world of this movie, and Godzilla is a hero to humanity at this point in this movie. So he just comes when he's needed. And Kent, and the little boy Ken at one point writes a paper for his class. I don't know if you saw this in your version of the movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like has a dream about Godzilla coming and burning all the garbage that's floating across the surface of the ocean. And he writes a paper about it, how Godzilla would be so disappointed with us if he knew all the stuff that we're doing to the earth, which he kind of is at the end. He gives the army a look at the end.
You got a little stink eye. Give him a stink eye.
Yeah, he's like, I saved your ass this time, but I might not do it again.
Yeah. But so we have the cartoon interludes of the Smog Monster sucking up garbage or whatever. Yes. And they just kind of come and go and they're nonsensical. But then you also have these disco interludes, which is, Austin Powers made fun of this stuff. But this was truly, you would cut to the discotheque and there's all the kids dancing with the lava lamp special effects in the background. And I will say the dancer is in a bodysuit and she has a clam right on her head, on the nose for a kid film. Yeah. But,
and this is rated G. This film is rated G.
And the guy's drinking. The one guy's there drinking, and all of a sudden, all the dancers have mutated like fish heads. And it's a lot to take in.
I would think that guy would need to be doing more than drinking to see that.
Correct. Right. Well, as I said, it's there's some serious drug going on, and making it and probably writing.
So this is where we have the song come back in, "Save the Earth."
This is an over, and I don't remember this song in the version I saw before.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is why I wanted you to watch the American International cut.
Okay.
Because the original version of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, if you were to get the Blu-ray of this movie, you're not seeing Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster like we viewed it on WRTV back in 1981, or how cinema audiences viewed it back in 1972. Godzilla vs. Hedorah on the Blu-ray is the international version, which Toho themselves made an English dub of it.
Okay.
And put it out to European theaters. So that's like the European English version of the movie. And the song in the movie is a Japanese song, which does not have the English lyrics of Save the Earth. It's got the same melody.
There you go.
Got the same,
I knew my brain could be faulty nowadays, but it's a little too on the nose. It's like too many fumes in our oxygen.
Yes.
We're moving to the moon now. Save the Earth. And it's very catchy. It's actually like...
And again, I marvel at the fact that they actually match the lip movements of the Japanese singers. So they had to come up with lyrics that would be the same kind of, in the same syllables and the same syntax as what.
And they use this like Japanese, 3-4 times throughout the movie. And
yet have it mean something, the lyrics. So how somebody does that is, beyond me. But
that was pretty impressive.
So the song that's being sung in the beginning is the song that's being sung in the nightclub while the guy's seeing all the fish heads. Yeah. And that's the backdrop of this is Godzilla and Hedorah having their first on-land battle a few blocks away in the city. Hedorah isn't as big yet, and he's on his all fours stage as like a giant tadpole kind of a thing. Yep. One of the most disgusting scenes is when he's sucking up the smokestack and he's purring like a cat and he's filling up these empty sacks that are over his body. So Godzilla comes, they have like a little monster conversation where they're grunting at each other.
And Godzilla's doing this weird wiping his mouth. Like he wipes his mouth numerous times and then paws at him like a cat. Like it's a weird, I don't think I've ever seen Godzilla do it before or since.
He never has.
And at one point, the kid actually starts imitating him. And the guy's like, "Oh, you think you're Godzilla now?" And I'm like, "But what does it mean?" That was just like he's wiping his mouth like he just.
I took it like there's so much crap in the air around Hedorah that he's got to wipe like his face.
Oh, maybe you stink. Like if he, if he just pinch his nose, he'd be like, "You're a stinker."
So they start to battle. And Godzilla grabs him and swings him around, sending chunks of Hedorah flying in every direction.
Sludge. And there's a bunch of old men playing Mahjong, and they just get buried in sludge. They die.
They're dead. All you see is their hands sticking up out of the sludge.
And there's a kitty cat at one point.
In the nightclub, after the nightclub with the fish people, the Hedorah comes through the nightclub, and it's very much like the Blob, like oozing down the stairs.
Oozing down the stairs.
And oozes back out of the nightclub, realizing there's no pollution to eat in there. And a little kitty cat that he's covered in sludge after he.
And there was a scene, a couple of vignettes where there were like multiple TV screens of all this stuff going on, and
there's a baby in sludge.
One of those. I want to point out, it was just in the middle of all this chaos, these talking heads and these skeletons and the fighting of the monsters, and you just see this kid buried up to his chest in sludge, crying.
This movie, especially for a kid, just sensory overload. This message just being pounded over your head over and over and over again. If you don't walk out of here like as an ecological champion, then
we need to stop using fossil fuel. Yeah, that was.
And then 2 hours later, you've forgotten about it.
Let me go gas up. My RV.
So this is the beginning of the movie. So Ken is through his eyes, through the kid's eyes, and through his father's eyes, because his father is a scientist that's trying to figure out what Hedorah is. And they come to the conclusion that it is like an alien tadpole that's come together with other alien tadpoles that's come from space that can transform itself into different shapes. It becomes a flying saucer at one point.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Yeah, he's a little amorphous.
Emitting this exhaust kind of like sulfuric acid. It doesn't kill the girls that it goes over. They just cough and they run inside.
No,
everybody else,
too much. It's only the men you see.
And then it goes right through that construction site. It goes through it. It doesn't go over it.
And you see the little guy jump to his death off the, and then all the girders start to melt.
as if it's a ghost. It goes right through the girders and then it melts. Yeah. So we see all those scenes of chaos and death and destruction. And then we go back to our teenage protagonist that you saw in the nightclub before, the guy that saw all the fish heads. He's making a party, right? He's planning
it's an end of the world. It's like all of a sudden Woodstock broke out.
Do you know 1 million kids?
Right.
So, let's stage a party on Fuji. And so the next scene is, and then it goes into another bizarre scene where it's like this black and white acoustic song, right?
It just boom, full color.
Then the full color,
and it's
acid rock kicks in. There's a full band there. They've got
it's Woodstock. They're all standing around the big bonfire, and it's like the little Who's in Who'sville.
And of course, wherever these kids go is where the battle is going to be. So
of course,
for some reason, Godzilla and Hedorah's final battle is going to be on Mount Fuji.
Well, I think Hedorah just hates disco, so he was out there.
Yeah, he was there. He heard that, and he was like,
I'm going across the galaxy, and I'm putting a stop to that crap.
So then, at this point, when Hedorah shows up, Godzilla and him tussle a little bit. Godzilla gets his eye, how would you call it? The cannon,
right, which is cool, actually.
It is.
Someone just standing off screen throwing that shit.
Right. So Godzilla ducks the first one. And it stands back up like, haha, then gets it right in the eye.
No!
He gets it, I think, in the right eye.
Right.
But then it's the left eye that's closed for the rest of the movie.
So either they...
Or it's the other way around. He gets it in the left eye.
Right, either way,
it
swaps. It swaps. But then he gets revenge on Hedorah. He starts punching holes in him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, his eyes oozing black. And next thing you know, that's all covered over. So now he just only got one eye.
An eye for an eye.
And his eyes look like kiwis. They were bright red, but the inside was like a sliced piece of kiwi.
And the whole shape of his head kind of looks like an owl to me. I don't know if you got the same impression.
It's weird because his eyes are turned like if he blinked, he'd be blinking left and right. He wouldn't be blinking up and down.
And let's talk about the design of this creature for a second. Talking about a walking garbage bag, this is literally kind of a walking garbage bag.
Basically. I mean, you can tell there are times when the guy's in a suit and you can see arms and feet kind of, but otherwise he's he's sludge. He's a giant ball of sludge.
And you got all these things like appendages dripping from him, which I think were kind of meant to emulate dripping sludge, but they're solid. It's a solid suit at the same time.
But you'll see every now and again when you'll see like stuff pouring out of him, almost like he's peeing his pants or whatever. It gets the point across. If you're going to make an environmental film and you're going to talk about sludge, whether they called him Smog Monster or not, he fit the bill.
Definitely. And the scene where talking about when stuff just secretes from him, there's one point in the final battle where Godzilla gets thrown down a ditch and Hedorah just takes a dump on him, for lack of a better diarrhea coming out of him.
We actually call that the Cleveland Steamer.
And Godzilla is in a bad way, let me tell you, during this sequence.
Yeah.
Covered in his,
until he starts flying backwards, which is just...
Now, I read about this. Now, this was thrown in as kind of a concession to lighten the mood of the movie.
Oh, because it was too heavy-handed?
It was too heavy-handed up to that point.
Let's do something silly.
Puts his arms out as if this is like a thing that he always does. This is when Hedra's on the run at the end, because the humans have created these two like big drive-in movie screens.
Screens
right?
that are like
electrodes that run into each other. And the thought is that they're going to dry out Hedorah because he's being made of sludge. So in order to do that, they have to get him in the middle of these two drive-in movie screens. And when they're trying to do this initially, just by their headlights to draw Hedorah in, before this, their only offensive against Hedorah was dropping clean oxygen on him, which doesn't work. So they're drawing him into these two big giant screens, and this one guy in a helicopter is coming with his oxygen. Picture like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon flying this helicopter.
Right.
The unhinged helicopter pilot. I'm going in.
That albino jackrabbit. I'll get him.
And Danny Glover sitting next to him. I'm too old for this. So Hedorah, they do zap him a little bit, and he realizes that, okay, this thing is going to me up for
right.
So I better get out of here. So that's when Godzilla does the flying trick to go after Hedorah to bring him back. So he puts his arms out, puts his tail between his legs, head down, and through the power of his own atomic breath, flies.
Backwards.
And then you hear that ridiculous Godzilla theme that's really only in this movie. That it's really kind of plays up.
Fun little,
like a kid-friendly kind of a theme. So he lands on Hedorah, he drags him back, and through the power of his own atomic breath, kicks the electrodes into action, thus drawing out.
Yeah, because Godzilla figured it out. Godzilla's like, I see what these humans are doing.
Yep.
All right, let me help out.
But they lost the power at one point, so they couldn't do it for themselves. So he
kickstarts it.
And so then Hedorah at that point is done, basically, for all intents and purposes.
Oh, he just starts tearing them apart at that point.
And then there's one thing that's always been a question is at one point he tears two what look like globes out of Hedorah's body. Are they eggs? Were they meant to be, another smog monster? Are they the life force of Hedorah? You don't know.
No. And they couldn't be his eyes because his eyes were red.
Right.
And I'm like, did he just rip out his testicles? But there was a scene where you brought it up before where these pustule blobs that were filling up, these sacks were filling up on him as he's sucking up from the smokestack. And didn't little hands or something break through them at one point? And it was just like, oh, are we going to get like smaller?
No. I think that was when he was on top of Godzilla, and Godzilla put his hands through him.
Through him. Okay, I misread.
And there was one point, and I don't know if this is a myth or not, because one of the Godzilla figurines that I have from this movie shows not only his eye closed, but his skeleton showing through on his hand that he puts through Hedorah. And I was looking for that when I watched it for this podcast. Does the skin actually wear away from Godzilla's hand from being inside Hedorah? And there are some shots where it looks like his hand is white, but I always took that as being the mud from Hedorah, the sludge caked on his hand.
Huh.
And not having the skin eaten away. But it's an interesting theory that's maybe what that is.
You could just keep Hedorah around, and Godzilla gets out of line, you just dump him on him. Interesting. So it is it's an odd one for sure.
The fact that Godzilla tears him up again to the strains of Save the Earth
Yeah, well, you got to bring that theme song back in there.
And of course the kid has to thank him, Godzilla!
Thank you! Godzilla! Oh, I know, he's like screaming. He's like, dude, just let me go. Come on. And gives him a little backhanded wave. Okay, I'm out of here.
So this movie is derided and loved at the same time by Godzilla
I can understand. I enjoyed watching it again. It is not one of my favorite Godzilla movies by any means, but it's special.
It is completely unique in the Godzilla series. It stands alone. A lot of the movies we were talking about before, even with King Kong versus Godzilla, they rely on stock footage from other movies to fill in the gap. Be it if King Ghidorah is in your movie, they've got other movies to steal from to use King Ghidorah fight scenes, right? Yeah. But this movie is completely original. I don't think they used one piece of stock footage from another Godzilla film, and just for that, I give it plaudits. But
I don't think you could. Yeah, let's talk Godzilla just in general, because do they make a completely different costume for each movie? Well, because his look has changed numerous times over the year.
I think they try to use the same costume at least for a couple of movies before they get a new one. For this particular movie, it was the same costume as, firstly, it was used in Destroy All Monsters. Then it was used in Godzilla's Revenge. then Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, and then it was last used in Godzilla versus Gigan, and then they dumped it. But it's my favorite, I think, of all the Godzilla costumes is the one that's this era. Yes. But yeah, to answer your question, I think every 5 years or so they
okay. Yeah. Because he definitely, I mean, if you go through strategically from beginning to end, he has changed. And obviously the new Legendary, they've really stepped him up. I mean, he still looks like Godzilla, which I'm happy about, because let's not even talk about that Roland Emmerich piece of crap.
Yeah, no.
There was no way that was a Godzilla movie. Well, the end just derived into Jurassic Park with the little
in Madison Square Garden, basically.
Right, correct.
Yeah. Some history of this movie. This is a very funny anecdote. The actor that played Hedorah had to have his appendix out, and this happened while he was on set, his appendix exploded.
In costume?
In costume. They couldn't get the costume off in the hospital. They had to operate while he was having the Hedorah costume. And no, this isn't even the weirdest thing of the story. This guy, he discovered, because this was the first operation he'd ever had, he discovered at that point that he was immune to painkillers. So not only did he have the Hedorah costume on, he felt the entire operation. He probably passed out from the pain.
Well, I'm just saying, these suits have got to be super heavy. I would think that, you're using wires to lift the tail and all this other stuff, but these things, I mean, like you said with the Smog Monster, it's a solid piece. You got the dripping and all this other stuff going on. You got these, I would think that, you'd have to be very physical.
And I know with hot studio lights on top of that, I can just imagine people passing out left and right with these suits on. There's one great scene where the teenage kids are in the car, and all of a sudden the ooze starts over the top of the car, and they're like, we need to get out of here. It's like, no, you need to stay in the car, because obviously he's eating it. But as they're running away, there's a great shot of Hedorah in like in front of the factory, and he's got all these little cars underneath him that he's eating. That was a really cool scene. That was nice. I like that a lot. And again, that was another throwback, I thought, to our earlier film, The Blob, when the Hedorah's coming over the windshield. I thought was very reminiscent of that. Yep. And did you know that the director of this, Bano, this was not the end of his Godzilla association, even though he was fired? He actually was a consultant for the 2014 Godzilla, for the Legendary. What he wanted to do was, he actually wanted to make, I think he got the rights from Toho in 2013 to make a Godzilla IMAX movie called Godzilla to the Max. I remember that. Yes, and this was the director. This was the guy. And he wanted to make his adversary a modern version of Hedorah called Deathla. That's what it would have been if he made the 3D. But it never happened, so they transitioned that into the Legendary Godzilla, and that's how he became involved with the Legendary Pictures Godzilla. So that 3D thing never came. It never came to be. It never will, unfortunately. Never will. Well, who knows? I mean, Legendary brings this guy back, and we start, people start going back to these movies. Yeah. Who knows? It never, But once Godzilla versus the Smog Monster ended on Black Friday, it would always be dark out. Thanksgiving had ended. Winter, Christmas was just around the corner. The leaves are down from the trees. It's a dreary day outside. This movie perfectly captured, I think, that day after Thanksgiving holiday vibe for me. So I can only, if I ever watch this, it has to be at Thanksgiving time. I cannot watch it. Oh, we're close. We're right here. We're right here, man. We are here. Yeah. So for that, I don't think we gave buckets to King Kong versus Godzilla. Actually. We did not. Let's go back and revisit that quick before we give this guy buckets. Yes. So I would say King Kong versus Godzilla. It's one of the more classic ones. The battle is great. Yep. It's very entertaining. The King Kong costume, not so much. But I would give King Kong versus Godzilla probably 3.5 buckets. I'll go 3. 3? Now, Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, on the other hand. This is not your favorite of the Godzilla films. No, this is not. My absolute favorite of the Godzilla films. This is my go-to Godzilla anytime. Like if ever I'm discussing Godzilla, I have to talk about the Smog Monster. So because of that, because I'm such a Godzilla fan, this falls probably within my top 10 films, period. Wow. Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. I would go 4.5 with this. 4.5. Just from my personal connection with this movie, I would give it 4.5. And that's what it's all about, though, right? Yeah. Who cares that it's on some list of the worst movies ever made? Yes. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, you might after you give your popcorn. No, listen, I enjoyed it. It is a product of its time. We've said that numerous times. Rewatching some of this stuff.
It's sad to say that the environmental message is still relevant.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? I might have to say 3 and then bump my Kong to Godzilla up to 3.5. I think that's
you're more of a traditionalist when it comes to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've only seen this Smog Monster a couple of times, and I do remember, watching it as a kid, not really connecting to it in any way, shape, or form. There's not a lot of Godzilla.
True. Yeah, it's all about Smog Monster and its effects on.
Right. Yeah.
Humanity.
As a kid, I think, it just didn't hit home for me. I don't need to see some chick in a cat suit dancing, singing about saving the world.
You see, I love that shit. So that's
that's fine. That's why we do this.
Yeah. So that leads us into our confessional this week. A special Thanksgiving Day confessional.
Confessionals.
What is your favorite Godzilla monster? Barring Godzilla, of course. But what is your favorite secondary Godzilla monster?
I'm going to let you go first since I went first last.
Well, I probably showed my hand already, so I'm going to have to say Hedorah for this one. And I like to pronounce it Hedorah. I don't go for the Hedorah. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool designs over the years. Mothra, well, King Ghidorah is always classic. The 3 heads, you can't go wrong with that. But for just sheer difference, and that's one of the newer ones, which is Biollante.
Oh,
I think he's a really cool. I mean, Gigan is up there. Don't get me wrong; those big scythe sickle arms or whatever. He just never was able to do anything with those.
If you could do some massive slashing.
Yeah, because you would think that there's some serious decapitation going on. All you gotta do is just slice twice and boom.
He always reminded me of Foghorn Leghorn a little bit. I say Godzilla.
I say Godzilla. So I think Biollante is cool because he kept mutating. He kept, he went from this plant-like thing, and he looks like Audrey too. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, he does. Very much.
Hey there, Godzilla, get over here. Let me eat you.
I remember the first time I saw Biollante, I was like, where is this going? Because at first it was just a giant rose. I'm like, this cannot be what Godzilla fights. And then what he becomes at the end was one of probably the better of the Godzilla creatures from that later period.
I think the last couple of years they've really kind of gone downhill with some of their bad guy monster designs. Like you were saying, the Kong Skull Island, those bone skull crushers or whatever.
Crushers, that's what they're called.
Whatever he called them. They were cool looking, but they weren't anything revolutionary. I want to see some crazy ass monsters. What was the one that he had? He almost looked like a knife. He had like a shark mouth, but he had like this big, huge pointed head.
That I think you're thinking of a Gamera movie. That was Gamera versus Gyron. That was the Gamera movie. Do you remember that Gamera movie with the 2 alien chicks that kidnap the 2 kids and want to eat their brains and they shave their heads?
Brains. Well, Space Godzilla's always been a cool looking one too.
One. Space Godzilla's good too. Yes. Yeah. Although, you know what? It's funny. I think that the acting in these Godzilla movies has gotten worse as time goes on.
Yeah.
If you're to watch one of the 60s ones and a modern one, the acting is so bad, seemingly so. I don't know if it's just me.
Right.
It just seems that the acting is so overwrought and melodramatic. It's just they're trying.
Melodramatic. Batla is another one that I thought was kind of cool.
Yes, that was a bizarre one.
I will tell you. So I think Ben has a lot of these figures. I'm trying to remember who was it. Bandai did a whole series a couple years ago.
I've got many of them myself.
Yeah,
Jet Jaguar was always a favorite of mine.
Jet Jaguar, that was a great character.
And he's got his own song. The Jet.
Yes,
Jaguar, Jet Jaguar.
But what about even so Mecha Godzilla is very iconic. But what about they did it? Which one was it? Was it King Kong Escapes?
Where they did Mecha Kong.
Mecha Kong. Yep. He was cool. I mean, obviously he never fought Godzilla, but over the years they've some very impressive creatures.
Yeah, I always liked King Caesar as well. He was in.
He's like a big floppy dog.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Always forgotten. He's in the first Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and he was kind of on the sidelines, but he got some good shots in.
Well, so go to was it Tokyo SOS or is it Final Wars, where they brought in a lot of these guys, even for little cameos at the end.
Revamped versions. Like Hedorah was in Final Wars as a revamped version.
Right. Even the Roland Emmerich Godzilla shows up just to get his ass handed to him. Yep. Which was a great little backhanded slap. So
But you may disagree with this, but I think that Hedorah was maybe Godzilla's toughest challenge.
Well, he really, yeah. I mean, most of these guys, it's the same old. He's down for the count, and then all of a sudden he miraculously comes back and saves the day or whatever. Mothra's done. They stop using Mothra. If I see those two little girls one more time,
yeah, they seem to really want to bring Mothra back. They always try to sell Mothra
I think
hard.
Mothra is very iconic as a Godzilla nemesis, but I really hope that this legendary, Godzilla King of Monsters, I mean, we know these creatures are coming back. So I hope that they all step up and really kind of reimagine these guys.
And do them justice, because it's going to be Rodan, it's going to be King Ghidorah, and it's going to be Mothra.
And I think Rodan's always been kind of
forgotten.
Yeah. I mean, he's cool and whatever, but yeah, he needs a little revamping.
Yeah, that first Rodan movie is a great, great movie. And the costume design on the first Rodan movie, he kind of got silly looking as time went on. Especially,
I think we all did.
Yeah. Destroy All Monsters, it's the Rodan in the original is not the same Rodan as you see in Destroy All Monsters. Right. Go back to that first movie, and it's a really nice design.
So we'll see. We'll see what they bring to the table. These movies have been kind of downgraded to kiddie fare, and so to bring these guys back and to really make them serious, you've gone to the extent of making Godzilla a much more formidable looking creature in the legendary. He's not again, you get away from the man in a suit and he's CG, and you can kind of create a slightly different physique and whatever. I'll see. Do we know if Anguirus is coming back in this one?
That would be nice if he did.
I would like to see Anguirus.
His buddy.
He's always they're all like friends.
It's like the Skipper and Gilligan, his little buddy.
Yeah. We just don't need to see any Mila.
No, please.
No Godzuki.
Oh, imagine if they did. Well, they actually did kind of bring back Godzuki in the Space Godzilla movie.
Yes.
Godzilla's
the little babies.
The little baby Godzilla. That's what they called it. Baby Godzilla.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. So that's it. Our monster movie mayhem.
So everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow morning, be sure to watch that Macy's Day Parade and enjoy your dinner with your.
And let's hope. Maybe PIX is like, what can we do with this?
Maybe, yeah.
What we need to do. We need to go back to old school.
Or some cable channel at least. Do a Google search for Godzilla. And see what comes
Meat
up.
Decade or whatever. One of those sci-fi channels. Yeah. Somebody. There's an audience out there.
So, Jeff, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, same to you and your family.
Into the holiday season with TMI for the first time.
We are. We're fastly approaching.
Yeah.
You know that favorite holiday special.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
Confessionals.
That's coming. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
We're out. Enjoy.
Bye, everybody. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand.